Child, I don't even have an intro for this episode. I don't even have an intro for this episode. Let's talk about it.
Roxiie says we're gonna talk about it.
What's up, y'all? It's your girl Roxiie with Roxiie Says, and we're going to talk about it. Today, we are reviewing Love Island USA Season 7, Episode 26. Baby, this episode was so much. This episode was a mess and a half. So many things got exposed, baby. I was here for all of it. Let's get right into it. But before we do, please don't forget to hit like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure that you hit that notification bell so that you are made aware every time I post a new video. Y'all have been doing the thing and showing so much love. Let's try to get this video to like 2,500 likes, all right? And hit that subscribe button for me. We are on our way to 45K. Thank you all so much, all right? So let's get into this episode. So tonight, I knew it was going to be a mess because I saw the first look and y'all were already commenting about the first look in yesterday's comments. So I was like, okay, I'm prepared, all right? So this episode opens up with a little announcement.
Welcome to Love Island USA. Nick and Sierra have become the first closed couple in the villa.
Oh, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. Because the way that some of y'all were in the comments trying to rewrite history, talking about Jeremiah and Huda were closed off. Thank you for announcing it. Thank you. All right. Let's not say that shit anymore. All right. So anyway, we see Sierra and Nick and they're talking about their little date and they say that they're still on cloud 9. But I will say that Sierra looked way happier than Nick did. All right. His face looks like, yo, if they send some new bombshells in here tonight, I'm going to be pissed. I'm going to be pissed off because I just closed off with this girl. All right. So next we see Brian and Jaden. And they're chatting. And remember, he did say that she was the one who he really wanted to kiss in the challenge. So they share a laugh about her being an investigator. And Jaden tells him that her type is tall, dark, and handsome. And Brian is like, oh, well, that's me. I'm tall, dark, handsome, and I got tattoos. All right. I said, well, that's bold AF because a lot of people have their own version of what tall, dark, and handsome is to them. But Jaden just looks at him and she nods her head and she was like, yeah, child. I was cracking up. Jaden reminds me of that girl from the show, Two Broke Girls. Y'all know who that is. That's who Jaden reminds me of, the way that she looks, her demeanor, all of that. All right. So anyway, although the conversation looked very dry and she looked uninterested, to me in her confessional, Jaden says that her conversation with Brian definitely opened her eyes to exploring more. And we see Austin looking over at them while they're having a chat. And he was like, oh, well, I didn't expect Brian to pull Jaden, but I guess that's the name of the game. Let me not see you complaining like, oh, why is Jaden talking to Brian? Because that's all you do. You don't put in no work. You don't put in no effort. All you do is complain. And they're going to check you on that later in the episode. All right. So next we see Huda and Nick discussing the situation with Shelly. And Huda says, you know what? People have always told me it's just a challenge. It's nothing personal. Is that why you were calling other women the B word? Is that... You know what? Let's keep going. We just getting started. Let's keep going. So she says that she's not trying to get with Ace. And Nick says that the line was definitely crossed with Ace. Let me repeat. Nick said that Huda crossed the line. The hilarious thing about this is that the people who were actually there are saying that Huda crossed the line. But people who are watching the show who were not there are saying, no, forget what they're saying. We know better than them, even though they were actually, no, we know better. She did nothing wrong. And that shit is hilarious. It's kind of scary, honestly. It's kind of scary. Huda says that she's giving Shelly space because she doesn't think that she's ready to talk about it yet. And then Huda also says that she went overboard. Huda also says that I'm going to drive this point home because the way that y'all been showing your ass in the comments acting dumb, Huda said that she went too far. Hudanators, hood rats, whatever y'all call yourselves, what now? What now? It came out of her own mouth. Let me make this very clear because the amount of y'all that were crashing out over Shelly overreacting when the people who were actually there, including Huda, are saying that she's the one who went too far, not Shelly because she kissed Chris twice. Clearly, whatever Huda did was way worse than Shelly kissing Chris 2 times, okay? Is it clicking? Is it clicking? And like I said in my review, since the scene was extremely edited and it was clear that things were left out, I had to go by the people's reactions to come to that conclusion that she did way too much, all right? So now I'm agreeing with Huda. She said she went overboard. I've been saying that I agree with her. So am I still a Huda hater for agreeing with her, huh? I'm just cracking up because I'm imagining all of the mental gymnastics that will be performed in the comment section, even though both Huda and Nick and all of the other people at the beginning of yesterday's episode said the same same thing and said that she went too far. Not Shelly, but Huda, okay? And I hate that I have to break it down like that, but someone will still be in the comments like, no, that's not what she meant. Shelly's overreacting. Shelly kissed Chris twice. Shelly kissed Chris twice, when damn near the whole villa, including Nick and Huda, just said that she's the one who went overboard. No one said nothing about Shelly. I be worried about some of y'all in the, I be worried about some of y'all in the comments. I really do, because I be like, ooh. Whew. Anyway, so she says that she takes full accountability and she won't do it again. And she says all that she can do is learn from it. Okay, girl, we'll see. So Nick tells Huda that he wants to be there for her, and him saying that now will be absolutely hilarious later. All right, but Huda thanks him for pulling her for a chat and giving her more perspective on things. And once again, Huda admits that she knows that she did wrong. And I said, good job, Huda. Good job, Huda. No, Shelly kissed Chris twice. Shelly kissed Chris anyway, it's bedtime. Y'all been pissing me off, if you can't tell. So it's bedtime, and Pepe is telling TJ about the way he just curved Andreina in the most respectful way. And Andreina is still shocked that she was friend zoned. But I was like, girl, hold on. Haven't you always been a friend? Haven't you all? You said that you've never had a boyfriend. You've never been in a relationship. So now that I think about it, you should be pretty comfortable in the friend zone, friends with benefits, whatever you've been doing. All right. So Amaya is like, F Pepito. He's a weirdo. Okay. And honestly, I was really feeling Pepe, but this episode, not anymore. All right. So Shelly still isn't speaking to Huda, and Amaya is still questioning things with Kzack. And we see TJ and Iris. They go and they sleep in soul ties. I said, thank you. All right. So Clark and Taylor, they're sharing kisses. Iris and TJ are getting it on in soul ties, and Nick and Sierra are getting it on in the room with everyone else. So you mean to tell me that y'all could have taken y'all freaky asses somewhere else this entire time, but y'all choose to do it in the room where other people can hear and they've mentioned it before? Y'all insist on freaking in the room where everyone can hear. That must be some type of kink for y'all, but thankfully, y'all little sessions only last 15 seconds, all right? So it's breakfast time, and Kzack brings breakfast for Amaya, and Alandria's looking like, but he does end up bringing hers next, all right? And we see Amaya looking over at her plate, trying to compare, like, oh, there better not be no flour on that plate, all right? So Ace is bringing breakfast for Shelly with some flowers, and we see Chris bring Huda breakfast and none for Shelly, all right? So next we see Amaya. She pulls Kzack for a chat, and everyone is looking on like, oh, what's about to go down? So Amaya tells him that she wanted to give him some space yesterday, but they never spoke, and he has been prioritizing time with the guys over her. And Zach says that he didn't speak to anyone yesterday. Come again? Come again? You definitely spoke to someone, because I remember in my review pointing out how cute Alandria's outfit looked when you and her were walking over to the dock. So you are lying, all right? So child, Amaya was like, do you see where I'm coming from? Like, do you even see where I'm coming from at all? And I was like, okay, Amaya, calm down a little bit. Just take it easy. Don't let the New York City jump out just yet, all right? Trust me, as a Brooklyn girl, I know we be having a woo-saw sometimes, all right? We be having to chill out, but we see Amaya asking him questions and not letting him answer. We saw her do the same thing with Shelly when she confronted her, and I was not feeling that and called her out about it, but Amaya was like, Shelly could not get a word in. Love Amaya. She has definitely grown since then, but we got to be fair, okay? But she does let him know that she feels single even though they're coupled up, and Kzack says, well, you didn't speak to me yesterday either. You have legs. You could have came and said something to me too. And in this moment, I was like, Amaya, please strap up your cute little gold sandals that you had the other day and walk your ass up out of that conversation. Walk your ass up out of that conversation, because now he's playing. And like I've been saying, Amaya initiates every kiss with this dude. I just said that yesterday. And now the other Islanders have also mentioned that Kzack has never pulled Amaya for a chat. She's the one who always has to pull him. And then he has the nerve to ask her why she didn't pull him yesterday, when the only reason that they're even speaking today is because she pulled him again? Yeah, no. So Kzack says certain things that Amaya has said has made him feel like she was moving too quick and he wasn't ready for it. So in his confessional, he says that he thinks that Amaya is amazing, but they have a whole lot of miscommunication, and he's still curious about exploring with Alandria. And Amaya starts to cry because she feels like Kzack is being really cold in this conversation, but he then promises to make more of an effort and prioritize her and spend more time with her, and he apologizes. He ain't say none of the shit that he gonna say later. He ain't saying none of the shit that he gonna say. We gonna get to it, okay? But they hug, and the other Islanders see that Amaya's crying, and they're like, oh no, Amaya's crying, all right? So we see Nick and Sierra and Iris and TJ, and they're discussing Nick's chat with Huda. And child, when Nick says that Huda took accountability off of the rip, the rest of them were like, they were shocked. They were shocked. Why? Because she doesn't do that on the regular. Okay, let's use this, okay? She doesn't do that on the regular. Just further confirmation of how Huda be acting in that damn villa, all right? So next we see Chris and Brian, and they're discussing his time with Huda in the speakeasy and them sharing kisses. And he says that he still likes Shelly. He still likes Shelly, but he's going to take a step back because the energy isn't being reciprocated. Like I said yesterday, Huda is Chris's second choice. He's only going after Huda because he's not getting the energy that he wants from Shelly, all right? So anyway, Brian says that he definitely wants to pull Jaden again, especially since conversations with Andreina have not been developing. And I was like, I mean, the conversation with Jaden looked boring as hell to me, but if Jaden likes it, baby, I love it. Let's get Austin up out of here. Let's get him up out of here, okay? And child, we see Jaden telling Clark and Grayson that her chat with Brian was the best first chat that she's ever had. And I said, you know what? We'll take it. We'll take it, okay? So she also says that she thinks that Austin was upset, and Grayson asks if them coming in coupled up has made it harder for them to explore. Only y'all make it hard for y'all to explore. Y'all should be doing what the hell y'all want to do. Y'all should still be exploring, okay? But Clark says, well, definitely for me, which is crazy to me because Taylor still wants to explore with Alandria. And the ladies feel like that's really crazy because of all of the affection that Taylor has been showing Clark. And Clark tells Grayson, see, you get me, girl. You get me, girl. Keep talking, all right? So Clark is clearly frustrated with this little love triangle situation that she's in. Side note, in this scene, baby, Clark's face, giving, all right? Meanwhile, we see Huda telling Andreina and Orlandria that her and Chris kissed in the speakeasy yesterday and it was really good. And he told her that he enjoys talking to her and she likes that he doesn't get really defensive when they're having a conversation and she really likes him. And I said, put a pin in this. Put a pin in this, all right? So next we see Alandria and Sierra and they're chatting about Kzack. And Alandria says that in comparison to Taylor, Kzack is less of a gentleman. Now, this scene was really weird. I had to like play it 3 times, but we did hear Amaya also say the same thing in the makeup room. She told the ladies that Kzack is not a gentleman, okay? But Alandria is still talking about how much she just loves countrymen like Taylor because they know just what to do when coming to women. Not kissing. Kissing is definitely not on that list apparently, all right? But she still thinks that Kzack is great and he's a mature guy who knows what he wants. No, he is not. And child, Alandria is still saying that Taylor is her strongest connection in this villa. And I told y'all in yesterday's video, at some point, Alandria is going to need to go by his actions, not his words. We're going to get deeper into that later. But child, anyway, moving on, we see Nick, Taylor, and Ace there in soul ties, and Taylor is telling them how much he's feeling Clark and loving her vibe, but he's still wondering how to navigate this Alandria situation. Child, Taylor just wants to keep Alandria on the back burner just in case, like he been doing, and Alandria is allowing him to do it, and I hate that for her, but like I said, we gonna get into it later. So child, next we see Grayson telling Iris that she likes Pepe, but she feels like he's been pulling back, and she also feels like the circumstances are weird because it's not like he chose to send Hannah home. She also tells us that she doesn't know if there's like a spark there, but she's doing her best with Pepe. Meanwhile, we see Pepe telling Taylor and TJ that he hasn't been feeling the spark with Grayson for a while, and he's been trying to figure out how to tell her that it's him and not her. And I was like, so damn, you curved Andreina for Grayson and you're not even feeling Grayson like that? Do you miss Hannah that much, or are you just waiting for a new blonde bombshell to walk in? What is it, Pepe? But he says that he feels like he's dragging her along at this point and he wants to be honest with her. So next we see Austin. He gets a text message letting the Islanders know that it is time for them to share their honest opinions about each other and get everything off of their chest in a game called Stand on Business, all right? So they'll each receive a blank postcard and send it to their fellow Islanders, telling them how they really feel, and they have the choice to sign their name or not. And Ace says, oh, I'm signing everything, all right. I'm signing everything, all right. Huda says, oh, I'm about to get so much shit. Yeah, because you know how you've been moving in this damn villa. I told y'all yesterday, Huda been clocking her own tea in these past couple of episodes, okay? So we see everyone break off into groups and they discuss what they're going to address in the challenge. We see Alandria and Sierra telling Shelly that she should address some of the issues that she has with Chris and Huda. Alandria is wondering if she should write anything to Taylor. And when she says this, Shelly asks, well, have his actions match what he's told you in the last conversation? And Alandria says, well, actually, no, it's not. And I said, so close. See, Shelly is trying to help Alandria get to her own conclusion of Taylor not being into her, right? And not being the one for her without saying it. But just yesterday, Shelly was telling Alandria that Taylor was still the same person who she should be pulling for chats. Now listen, Shelly, I do love you, girl, but with what you said yesterday, the advice that you gave to Alandria yesterday, it's either giving gameplay or it's giving Shelly has just given up and decided, look, my friend want to be delusional. I'm going to be delusional with her, okay, as far as her connection with Taylor. So Clark says that she feels like she's going to be forced into some mess tonight. Pepe is asking, should I write, that it's just not going anywhere with Grayson? And Austin is like, nah, that would be way too harsh. Remember, Austin said that. about harsh. Okay, remember Austin said that. So child, it's nighttime. We see the postcards have been sent and everyone comes downstairs dressed for the mess. So Austin is first and he gets an unsigned postcard saying that they don't know how he's even made it this far because he doesn't put any effort into any of his connections. He's just here enjoying a little vacation. And Austin, of course, doesn't agree with this. He says that he puts effort into all of his connections since he's been here. And Andreina admits that she's the one who wrote it because she felt like when Austin was in his love triangle with Ace and Shelly, Austin didn't put in much effort, nor did he put up much of a fight. This is very true. We saw Austin complaining more than fighting, okay? So next we see someone ask Sierra if her and Nick know how loud they are in the bedroom. Dead ass, if they're this loud, y'all need to start tapping them hoes on the shoulder and let them get out. Get out. Y'all got 10 other rooms in this villa that y'all could do this shit in. We don't want to hear it tonight, all right? So next, Pepe says that the girl's logic for sending Hannah home made no sense. And Sierra says that she felt like Amaya didn't have the chance to explore, but Hannah already had the chance to explore her two connections. And Pepe was very tunnel vision with Hannah. The same foolish reason that they've been giving, all right? And we do see Shelly, Alandria, and Amaya agree with her in this moment. Well, hasn't Alandria been tunnel vision for Taylor as well? Hannah was with Charlie, and then she explored with Pepe. Sierra, you've had your beautiful experience and you're closed off, so should you go home too? Should you go home too? Anyway, Pepe just wants his boo back. Pepe just wants Hannah back. All right. So next is Amaya, and she gets a cute little message from Chris about her snoring. But next, someone says that she cries more than needed and she tries to move too fast with everyone. And she starts crying immediately. And she's like, well, God forbid I'm a sensitive gangster. All right. So Amaya lets them know that she views her vulnerability as strength. And if you think that it's too much, then she's just not the cup of tea that you need to be drinking, period. So Austin admits that he wrote it and it was harsh, but he does say that after they coupled up, things got too intense for him. Now, this is the same thing that Kzack just said, okay? This is the same thing that Kzack just said, and then Ace jumps in and tells Amaya that he understands that she wears her heart on her sleeve, but she needs to meet people on middle ground, and both parties need to be comfortable. So Brian jumps in to stick up for Amaya, right? And he says, look, that's in our culture. We say mi amor, we say mi gente, that's what we say. And I said that in a previous review. That's like when I talk, I say child, I say girl all the time. It's just how she speaks, okay? And Amaya thanks Brian for standing up for her. And Ace says, well, I did that. I tried to meet her on common ground. Did you really though? Because I remember you only listing a bunch of rules like 3 minutes after y'all got coupled up. That's what I remember, all right? So then Kzack jumps his weird ass in to pile onto Amaya in this moment. And I'm like, what the hell is this? Like, what's going on right now? And Amaya cuts him off and she says, you had every opportunity. No, she said opportunity. Amaya's so cute. She said, you had every opportunity to tell me earlier, but instead you waited to do it in front of all of these people. I don't care what you have to say anymore. Stop talking to me. I said, yeah, that's the energy. But then I remembered that she did do a lot of over talking. So maybe he would have said it, but I don't think so. I don't think so at all. Now, look, Amaya's personality is a lot. Her personality is a lot that has been established, but that is who she is. And like I said in previous reviews, after her situation with Ace, we have seen Amaya be more upfront about her personality. We have seen her asking the guys what their boundaries are. We have seen her asking them, am I doing too much? I want to make sure that I'm not clingy. I want to make sure that I'm not overbearing. She has made an effort to meet them halfway. She has. And we've seen them continuously lie to her and say, oh, no, it's fine. You're not doing anything wrong. All right. So miss me with the bullshit. I made sure to point that out in an earlier episode because it shows that she has self-awareness and it shows that she has growth. Granted, she has more work to do. We all have more work to do, but you can see the effort that she's putting in. But when coming to Kzack, I agree with Amaya. Shut your ass up talking to me because you could have told me this before in private. Didn't you just tell Alandria the other night that you prefer when matters are handled in private? Didn't you just say that? Anyway, so Amaya runs away crying and both Shelly and Ace get up to go after her and Kzack tells Ace, come back, bro, come back. And Huda goes after her to comfort her as well. Ace, what the hell did you get up for? What? Anyway, Sierra says that Kzack is a chump and don't let these men sit there and tell you how to be you. And I said, period. All right. Sierra is always going to give you a good word of encouragement. So damn, next, someone tells Pepe that they know that he doesn't even like Grayson as much as he liked Hannah and he's been playing it safe. I said, damn. And Grayson is pissed. And she's like, look, I'm here to form an actual connection. What the hell has Pepe been doing and saying around this villa that this keeps coming up? And that is a valid question. No one would be talking about it if Pepe wasn't running around talking about it, all right? And she says, look, if you still feel so much connection to Hannah, then you need to give me the opportunity to explore with other people. Grayson, you got to give yourself that opportunity. Pepe ain't stopping no show, all right? And Pepe says that he just tries to move as respectfully as possible, and he didn't want to discuss it any further. Child, like I said before, Grayson is not having it, and I think that it's safe to say that these two are officially over. Maybe Pepe wanted to try to keep it cute since everyone was there, and I can respect that, but I better see you pull her for a private chat tomorrow to tell her how you really feel. I better see it, all right? So next is Ace, all right? And he's questioned on why him and Shelly aren't closed off if their bond is so strong. Amaya raises her hand and says, it was me. I asked that question, all right? So Ace says that it's because Shelly said that she wants to explore a new connection and he's not the controlling type. And Amaya says, okay, that was the perfect answer. Now that he has no other connection and Shelly does, he's putting it all on Shelly, talking about, oh, we're open because Shelly wants to explore. Anyway, I'm not even going to give that any more energy because we already know what it is with Ace. So next, Austin calls out Ace and his posse for how they handled the Jeremiah situation. And he says that Jeremiah was screwed either way when coming to them. And Ace looks pissed and he asks Austin to elaborate before he answers. The way I would have been like, you can't read the... You don't know how to read? It's on the card, baby. It's on the card. So Austin pretty much repeats exactly what he said with some trouble, but he pretty much repeats exactly what he said that was on the card. And then Ace is like, Andreina, do you think that Jeremiah was coming on strong? And she was like, yeah. And Ace is like, exactly. He was love bombing her too. And just because I'm 5'10" and you're 6'2" and I'm the only one with the balls to speak up, it doesn't make me a hater, okay? Because I have heart and you don't. Ace, keep that same energy when coming to your boy Taylor, because you actually helped him not speak up. You actually helped him not have heart and lead Alandria on. Keep that same energy, all right? Also, wait, now just showing interest in someone, flirting with them and kissing on them, that's love bombing? That's love bombing? Ace, in his true fashion, then flips this entire question and conversation and starts talking about Austin not being real with Amaya, which is true. It's true, but this is part of his manipulation. He always gonna flip a damn conversation. So Ace says, I'm a leader, all right? And I'm gonna speak my mind, and I don't give a who got a problem with it. And King Kong ain't got shit on me. And I said, well, damn, all right, Alonzo, have your little training day moment. I was like, is Ace auditioning for something right now? What is all of this energy? Why are you so upset? So Ace says that Austin was speaking negatively about Amaya to the boys, which is true. And Amaya jumps in and Austin tells her, this is not your conversation. This is not your conversation. You're talking about Austin, if you don't shut up, child. And Amaya says, yeah, but I can speak on it. And then Austin gets really condescending and nasty. And he asks Amaya if she doesn't understand what a chance to air stuff out means. It was very much giving red hat. It was very much giving English is the only language spoken in the world. It was very much giving go back to your country. It was giving all the things. Get Austin the fuck up out of here. Get him up out of here. I cannot stand Austin, all right? And Amaya clocks it with the quickness and she says, don't disrespect me. And you've never told me anything that I'm hearing tonight. And while they're going back and forth, I was just sitting there. First of all, I was pissed, but I was also sitting there like, wow, y'all fell for this shit again. Ace gets questioned about his reasoning for sending Jeremiah home. He says some BS and then he flips this whole conversation. And now we have Austin and Amaya arguing. Y'all got to stop letting Ace do that shit. Y'all got to stop letting Ace do that. Ace is one of those people who, when you're arguing with him, you got to keep repeating your original point in your head, okay? Because he's going to flip it every time. And I called that out yesterday. Ace will have you go home after the argument and you're going to be punching the air because you're like, damn, I should have said this. I should have said that. Ace is that guy, okay? But let's back up. Y'all did eliminate Jeremiah on some hater shit. I don't care how much you slam your little fist on that podium. You were on some hater shit. You were jealous that Jeremiah got all the girls that you wanted. And we also know that all of y'all turn it up when a new bombshell enters. Not only Jeremiah, but because Jeremiah and Andreina were actually vibing well, he love bombed her. And that's why you sent him home? Boy, whatever. So next we see Shelly. She gets a stack of cards and Ace asks Shelly why she wants to set boundaries during challenges, but wants to continue to explore. And she reminds Ace that he is the one who initiated being open to exploring. So that's what she's done. And she also says that the boundaries are in place to make them both feel comfortable while remaining open, right? So she doesn't want them to do things that the other will find disrespectful while remaining open. Shelly, those boundaries should have been stated before that last challenge, okay? But then Ace asks other people to chime in because he needs help deflecting, all right? So Sierra says that in the last challenge, they didn't set boundaries beforehand, but Shelly wanting to set boundaries now shows that she does believe in their connection and she wants to start protecting their connection. And Ace says, well, why would I fall back when she's still exploring? It wasn't a problem when you were exploring, right? It wasn't a problem then. Now it's a bad thing. I thought that you loved it. What's the problem? Oh, because you don't have any other options and Shelly does. Oh, okay. Now it's a problem. I get it. So Brian asks Shelly why she hasn't had any conversation with Chris since Casa. Are y'all avoiding each other? And Shelly says that certain intentions have been set but weren't followed through when coming to Chris. And Chris asks for clarification. Shelly says, look, there's been no eye contact. You haven't pulled me for a chat. So she doesn't want to mess up what she has based on just words with Chris. And Chris says, I don't got nothing else to say. Okay, bye. Next, Huda asks Shelly, do you remember saying it's just a challenge and you and Ace are still open? So Huda is saying that when her and Jeremiah were together, Shelly was the main one telling her to relax. It's just a challenge. And Shelly says, yes, the only time that I said that to you was when you were tweaking out on other bombshells who had no idea about you and Jeremiah's connection, and you were furious at them for no reason. Remember reviews ago, I told y'all that because of the way that Huda was acting in that villa, the entire villa had to help her manage her emotions and stop her from crashing out and cursing people out for no reason. Shelly told you that because you were acting unstable, girl. She was trying to help you. That's why production had to sit your ass down and tell you to stop, girl. But you know that there should still be a level of respect there. So on top of that, you admitted at the top of this episode that you went overboard and you still had the nerve to write this dumbass question down when you know what you did wrong. You already admitted it, girl. And of course, Huda doesn't acknowledge calling those women bitches. She just says, well, I thought that it was just a general thing. I thought that it was a challenge in general. Only because Jeremiah still isn't there, baby. If Jeremiah was still there, you would not be saying any of this shit right now. You wouldn't, all right? And even with the way that you were acting in the villa, the girl still spared you and stood away from Jeremiah during challenges out of respect, all right? So what isn't clicking, Huda? What isn't clicking? So Shelly says that she still felt disrespected and she's given Huda a lot of grace and now she's getting aggravated by it. So Huda says that she won't repeat what she did at the challenge and she effed up and she shouldn't have done it. I want to see the footage. I want to see what she did because clearly it was bad, all right? So Huda says that she's sorry and the challenge doesn't compare to their friendship and she asks for forgiveness, which Shelly does not have to give her. Let me make it clear because someone is already in my comments from the last video talking, oh, Huda, baby, you can apologize. No one is obligated to accept your apology. No one is even obligated to believe your apology. Yes, Huda apologized. Good for her. She did wrong. She should apologize. That doesn't mean that Shelly has to accept it. What are y'all on, child? And Huda says, well, you can forgive me or not. And child, Shelly just says, okay, I'm done with my questions. I'm done with my questions. So not a lick of forgiveness was given. And let me also say this. If you keep doing similar things over and over and you keep apologizing, eventually people are not going to believe your apologies anymore. They're not even going to want to hear it anymore. All right. So child, next we see Huda and Nick. And Nick says that he feels like Hannah was robbed from her experience twice while Huda should have been dumped from the island. And I said, damn. I said, damn, Nick. He says, yeah, it should be no surprise. I did vote you off twice. Okay. And it was sad to see Hannah and Charlie come to an end when Huda had already gotten opportunities. And Huda says that she's grown in here and she did Casa more to the fullest. And all of the Casa boys agree that she did speak to everyone while there. So the next question isn't signed and it asks Huda if she feels like she's been following girl code when coming to Chris and Shelly. And is she a girl's girl? So she says that nobody owns anybody. All right. And if they're open, that's it. And I said, hold on though, because the Hudanators were just in my comments saying that y'all were closed off, but y'all weren't really closed off, but everyone knew that y'all were closed off, but y'all really weren't because of age. Which one is it, baby? Which one is it? And all of the ladies are quiet. All right. So the next postcard is from Shelly and it tells Huda that if she's a girl's girl, she needs to practice what she preaches and she wants loyalty and respect from her friends, but she doesn't give it. And that is absolutely crazy. And you say that your intentions are for your friends when they're really selfish. So Shelly says, you didn't stand on girls code when it came to me. All right. You wanted loyalty and respect when it came to you and Jeremiah. And we gave that to you, but you never returned it. And as far as Chris, you wanted to make it seem like he was for me, but it was really for you. And Huda says, well, because I was interested in Chris, right? And me bringing him back wasn't only for me. And Shelly says, look, I would have respected it more if you were straight up Huda and said, look, I want Chris for me instead of doing it under the guise of it being for Shelly. Okay. So Huda points to Chris and says, well, haven't I told you multiple times to pursue Shelly? So the whole thing wasn't just for me. And Shelly's just shaking her head no, shaking her head no. So Alandria jumps in and she says, well, if this is sisterhood, I know you don't kiss and tell, but do you mind telling the class? And I said, ooh, hoo, hoo, hoo. And Huda says, tell the class what? And Alandria says that y'all kissed in the speakeasy. And I said, ooh, Ooh, Alandria. So Shelly says, look, I don't care about that. And Huda says that she told the girls who she trusted. So Chris is clutching his pearls, baby. And he's like, well, that's nobody's business. That's nobody's business. And Alandria says, well, it's out now. All right. And Chris is like, well, that's very disrespectful. So Huda starts yelling. She's like, look, I can kiss whoever I want and whoever I like. Shelly and Ace, they kiss people all the time and they still pursuing connections. Who have Shelly and Ace kissed outside of challenges? Who they weren't coupled up with? What is she even talking about? Child, Shelly is just shaking her head no, and Sierra and Alandria are looking like, ooh, whoa, right? Then Huda says, Alandria, if I tell you something, it's between us. And Alandria says, yeah, but you said that this is a sisterhood and you did this for Shelly, but if you really did, you wouldn't be moving like that. And in this moment, I was like, Alandria, baby, not too much. Not too much. You just put that information out there. Now, if people start talking about you making out with Nick, right? When Sierra is supposed to be your sister, don't say nothing. Don't get upset because you and Sierra are sisters, okay? Like Roydale and Albacine, all right? So Huda tells Alandria that it's not her place to tell that information, and I agree with that. I do agree with that, okay? Because I feel like if Huda and Shelly did have that conversation, if they got to have a chat, I do 100% believe that Huda would have told Shelly, and let me tell you why. Huda likes to have that power. Huda likes to have that ownership, all right? Huda would have been so happy to tell Shelly, yeah, you know, Chris and I kissed the same way that she couldn't wait to tell the other girls that her and Jeremiah slept together. She would have told Shelly. Trust me, she would have told Shelly. But Huda says, you know what? F this game, and I'm not telling anyone shit anymore. Okay, bye, Huda. So Chris is next, and he says that his intentions with Huda are genuine, and he told everyone that in the villa as well. He says that he could care less about even being in this villa. He could be overseas playing ball. So then go. So then go overseas and play with your basketball, all right? So Shelly's postcard says that the switch up is insane, and if you just wanted to come back to the villa, you could have just said that. Shelly also tells him that he didn't go as hard for her as he said that he would, but it is what it is. And all Chris keeps doing is repeating, well, I could care less. I could care less. Actually, the proper term is I couldn't care less. I couldn't give a less. That's what you should be saying, but whatever. So next is Alandria, child. And Clark writes, I know that you think that I'm just a test, all right? And our connection is only physical, but it's more than that, and it's very real. And Alandria says, congratulations. She says, congrats. In the same way that Phaedra told Nene congratulations after Nene says, I'm 43 to be exact. I just had a birthday, okay? Yeah, it was in that tone. So Clark elaborates that it was a bit upsetting to be made to feel like a test because she's here for real connections too. And she says that she's learned a lot about herself in this process. And the only reason why she's even able to open up to Taylor physically is because she has genuine feelings for him. Alandria thanks Clark for being a real one and actually signing her name on the postcard, but she clarifies that her referring to Clark was a test. It wasn't a dig at her. She says that she refers to everyone that way. She didn't mean to define her journey in that way, and she apologizes to Clark, and Clark says, okay, cool, all right? And that conversation went well, in my opinion. It could have went way worse, all right? It could have went way worse. So last but not least is Taylor. His anonymous question asks, you and Alandria have such a strong connection. How could that change so quickly? And I said, oh Lord, not this again. Not this again. I feel like Alandria wrote this question and I'm like, girl, you're more worried about the how than the is. You're more worried about how it happened than what is actually happening. Okay, but let's move on. So Taylor says that Clark gives him a different feeling, a kid feeling. And Alandria's like, how old are you? How old are you? Oh, okay. And Taylor's like, I can't want to be a kid. I can't want to have a kid feeling. And Alandria's like, sure. And I said, ooh, Alandria, all you're doing right now is making Taylor feel more secure in his decision to be with Clark. If that man wants to feel like a damn kid, let him feel like a kid. But Clark, I hope that you are paying close attention to all of this, to everything that's going to happen in this scene. I hope that Clark was paying close attention because this is the second time that Taylor has said that. The first time he said it, I was like, oh, okay, I can understand a jovial, light feeling, all right? I was like, oh, that's cute. But now with him saying it again, lets me know that when it is time for things to get more serious and you need him to be a big boy, he's going to have a problem. When you need him to have big boy conversations and make big boy decisions, that's going to be an issue for him. And I feel like he's going to be like, what's going on? Now you're acting like Alandria. I want to feel like a kid, not a grown man, which is what I feel like Alandria was pushing him to do. And he's not ready for that. And honestly, Alandria, as cute as I think that Taylor and Clark are, because I think they vibe really well. I think they really like each other. They show each other affection. This is still a win for you to not be with a man who wants to feel like a kid all the time. Take this as a win, baby. He's doing you a favor, Alandria, okay? Anyway, Huda jumps in and she makes the same comparison of the 3 weeks with Alandria versus the 3 days with Clark. Now, this part was weird to me because I was surprised that Huda would even defend Alandria after Alandria just blurted out her secret about the kiss with Chris to everyone. And I was like, maybe this is Huda's first step in being a girl's girl, right? Or maybe this was just weird editing as well, because we know how this show does with the editing. So Taylor says, damn, why can't I get to know Clark too? I got to know Alandria. Why can't I get to know Clark now? But Huda says, well, you tell Alandria that you're going to spend time with her and then you don't do it. And Taylor says that he's trying, and Clark agrees that he is trying to spend time with the both of them. Child, the next postcard is Alandria telling him to stop being a little bitch. Don't call a man a bitch, girl. What? Listen, stop calling these dudes bitches, joking or not. Stop doing it, okay? Because none of the guys in this villa have called any of y'all bitches joking or seriously. None of them, all right? So she exposes that the night of the challenge, Taylor did tell her that he wanted to kiss her back and he didn't do it out of respect for Clark. And Alandria leans over and says, you know, Clark, I don't know if you knew that. I don't know if he told you. Clark was like, oh, I knew. He told me. Now, I don't even know if Taylor told her or if she just said that to Alandria so that Alandria wouldn't see her sweat, all right? So Alandria says, you've never spared my feelings, so why are you sparing Clark's feelings? Do you hear what you just said, Alandria? He spares her feelings and not yours because he likes her and not you. He cares about her and not you, all right? So child, Alandria starts going off and she says, you're not even trying to explore, and if it's my feelings, then it's gonna be your feelings too, all right? And you're telling me one thing, but you're moving different. And how could you throw this away just because shit got hard and now you wanna jump to the next girl? If I moved like you moved, you wouldn't even be here. You wouldn't even be here. And when Jalen was here, I reassured this man every motherfucking day, all right? And he ain't do shit for me since this girl has been here. And I can't express how angry I've been holding it all together. What do you need from me? What do you need from this connection? And this girl comes in here in 3 days and that's it? That's it. Now let me tell you something. When Alandria was saying what she said, I'm happy that she got it out. And I felt that. I felt so bad for her, and I will say that I understand her anger because Taylor did lead Alandria on, was not upfront with her from the very beginning. That was wrong. That was wrong. And he also stepped his game up with the help of Ace. When Jalen was here, secured his spot as Alandria's number one. Alandria picked him over Jalen, and in only 3 days, he dropped her for Clark. I get it. I 100% get Alandria being upset. That is extremely hurtful, especially when you like someone. But like I said before, after Taylor made that decision that could have gotten you dumped from the island, that should have been all that you needed to know, to say, you know what? This man don't like me. This man don't care about me. I am done with it. I'm done with it. I don't give up what he's saying. It doesn't matter. Let me go by what he's doing. This man almost sent me home. That should have been all you needed, Alandria, okay? But I do understand that you're hurt, but don't give Taylor all of this power. You have autonomy to stop dealing with him as well, okay? So Taylor says that this is my experience too, and you want me to think and move for you. He says, look, I'm not moving to keep you here. I'm moving to make connections with who I connect with, and it is what it is. You feel me, all right? And the guys are like, ooh, he stood on business. He should have stood on business and told Alandria how he really felt in the beginning, but I digress. So Alandria was on some, I was your lover and your secretary working every day of the week, and Taylor is just on some, yeah, but I gotta do me now. Okay, that's all he cares about. Lessons to be learned from this conversation, y'all. And child, the last card is anonymous, and it says, make up your damn mind. And Taylor asks who wrote it. No one owns up to it, and he says, okay, well, since y'all want me to pick right now, I pick Clark. And child, Alandria starts clapping. Alandria starts clapping, and the way I started clapping too, because I know I said it before. I know I said, look, Alandria, I'm done with you if you keep pursuing Taylor after this. But baby, I mean it this time. He just said, I choose Clark. If you keep pursuing him after this, I'm really done. I promise you, I'm really done with you. Okay. After this, there's no question. There's no, oh, but Taylor's been doing. There's no more of that, okay? I don't care what he comes to. I don't care if tomorrow he comes to you and he says, oh, I really wanted to kiss you in the challenge. I don't give a damn. It's done, okay? It's done. I'm going to have to download the app and send you home, Alandria, and put you out of your misery because I can't stand watching you being humiliated like this night after night. I'm not here for it. I don't want to see it, okay? But child, that was the end of the episode. So much happened. Let me know all of your thoughts. Let me know all of your predictions. I know that there was a vote last night. Let me know who you voted for. And child, that's it. I was exhausted after watching this episode. I'm exhausted after this review. These people are stressing me out, all right? Don't forget to hit like, comment, and subscribe. Again, let's try to get this video up to at least 2,500 likes. I think that's what I said. And we are on our way to 45K. Hit that notification bell so that you're made aware when I post. And baby, I cannot wait to see you in my next video. Bye!
Roxiie says we're gonna